bigger. Why do they always have to go bigger?
Ark Creepypasta Evolved, Chapter 3. By the next morning, I had crafted about 50 trank arrows and 2 bows, so if one breaks, I'll have a spare. My new plan was to go out and tame either a Parasaurolophus or a Triceratops, something that could gather narcoberries more efficiently, so then I could make more narcotic for taming bigger creatures. I also did some expansions on the base by crafting a refining forge for when I wanted to start gathering metal. I also put a campfire just outside my base so I could have cooked food for myself when I get hungry. Eventually, I would like to tame a Pteranodon so I could fly around the island and get around quicker. However, I couldn't stop thinking about that creature I saw last night. It was unlike anything I had ever seen before. What was it? Where did it come from? I decided to take a break from the game and went on the internet to do some research on what this creature could be. I found nothing, so I looked in some of my books of prehistory to see if I would have better luck, but to no avail. I even went to my local library to try and find something, but I still couldn't find anything. Was this creature even real? I then tried a book about mythical creatures because Ark DLCs such as Scorched Earth, Aberration, and Extinction had a lot of mythical creatures in them, but I didn't see anything. After giving up my search, I went back to the game to gather some more narcoberries in a last-minute preparation to tame something when I suddenly heard a growling noise in the distance, followed by footsteps that grew louder and louder. I looked in the direction of the sound and sure enough, a raptor was racing straight towards me. I ran as fast as I could, but the creature was catching up. Then I noticed a small opening that looked too small for the raptor to fit in, but was just large enough for me to fit in. Without thinking, I raced towards the opening and made it just in time. The raptor tried to get to me, but it couldn't, and after a good look at it, I noticed something strange about the creature. This was the old model that the raptor had for the longest time before it got the TLC. At first I was confused, because I thought I was playing an older version of Ark. Then another raptor popped out and tried to get to me, and that one had the newer model. I was very confused. 2 raptors with different models? What the hell was going on with this game? There was no time to think about that though. The raptors were blocking my only way out of that opening. I know that if you die in Ark, you can always come back to life, but I was afraid to try it because maybe this game was on hardcore mode, meaning that if you die once, you get set back to level 1 and then you have to learn everything all over again, so I didn't want to take any chances. There was only one option for me. I had to wait for the raptors to de-aggro. I waited for about an hour, and the raptors were still out there. By this time, I was becoming starving and dehydrated, and it was a matter of life and death now. I had 2 options, either wait a little longer and hope that the raptors would go away, but risk starving to death, or make a run for it and risk being killed by the raptors. Then I remembered I had a bow with trank arrows and a bola, so I bolaed the 2 raptors and started peppering them with arrows. I managed to knock one of them out, but the other escaped and ran off into the jungle. But of the 2 raptors that I could have knocked out, why did it have to be the ugly old version? By this point, however, I didn't really care, because I was about to tame my first dino. I would have preferred an herbivore, but at least now I will have some protection against dangers. It took about 10 pieces of meat, but the raptor finally tamed. I quickly crafted a saddle for it, and now I could ride it. I decided to name the raptor Lucky, because it was lucky that I was able to tame a raptor in the first place. I tested the raptor out, and I must say, my new tame was pretty powerful. Thanks to Lucky, I was able to get a bunch of meat and hide that I could use for cooking, narcotics, and other stuff. However, I still needed an herbivore to gather berries with, but luckily I was able to find an iguanodon, and with about 30 tranks to spare, I was able to tame the iguanodon with ease. I named that creature Berry because his main purpose was to gather berries so then I could move on to my next objective, taming a pteranodon. However, that task would be easier said than done because what happened next would scar me for the rest of my life.